Welcome back to another episode of Harmonious at Lunch, the show that fuels your business success. I'm Brandon Gano, your host and guide through the world of harmonious business growth. Today, we're unlocking powerful strategies with industry experts to help your business thrive. If you're a business owner, entrepreneur, or executive, you are in the right place. Join me and our incredible guests today on the journey to clarity, growth, and success. It is time to revolutionize your approach to business. Let's dive in with another episode of Harmonious at Lunch. Welcome back to some more bite-sized business advice. We got a good one today. Here's the topic. Check this out. How human are you? Maybe we're talking about robots. I don't know. What we're going to talk about. I think I might a little bit. I think we're going to talk about leadership and how you show up in your company as a teammate, a leader, an employer, whatever that may be. We're going to have a great conversation about how to be more human, which, oh man, do we need this more than ever these days. I have a very special guest, Ron Reich, here with me. Ron, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here.
Oh, Brandon, it's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
I'm excited to be here. And I was telling you before we started recording, I saw this topic come through on the application, and I was like, yes, immediately. How human are you? I don't really know what that means yet, but as I started to unpack, obviously, I know where we're going, but it's so catchy and it's so true. So tell me, I'm curious, where did you come up with that title in terms of what you do?
You know, I think where I'm going to go, Brandon, and that people have said to me over the years, a number of people, Ron, you should write a book. You should write a book. You really need to write a book. And I was like, all right, fine, maybe I will. And my wife even said to me, I don't know how many years ago, 3, 4, whatever, it doesn't matter. What would you title it? And I just quickly said, probably it's all about the people. And for me, Brandon, where I'm going with that simply is, it is all about the people. It's about the leader at the top. It's about the other individuals everywhere throughout the organization. Everybody is a human being. Everybody wants to be treated well. And if the leader is not being human and the leader is not developing strong relationships with people throughout the organization, there's going to be failure. There's just going to be failure. And I think the one important thing too, and this is what you and I were chatting about before the show a little bit, when I talk about being human, when I talk about good relationships, I mean the entire gamut, both personally and professionally. A good leader needs to know the people personally. Hey, Brandon, what are you all about? How's your family? What's going on with the dog? How was the theater last night? Whatever it might be. In addition, there needs to be a rock solid relationship from a professional perspective too. We need to be able to talk about, Brandon, let's talk about your strengths. What are your limitations, Brandon? And have open conversations about that. What are your goals within the organization? How can I help you to get there? Where do you see yourself? Just all of these different things so that it's almost holistic, if you will. And I'm an avid reader, and the research is clear on this. The better you know the people with whom you work, the more effectively you will work with them. And that's where how human are you comes from.
Yeah, I love it. And it's so simple, but it's obviously not easy to put in practice. And I think there's also the negative side to this too, which you hinted at before. I want you to talk about the manipulative side of being human. I'll put air quotes around that, because I think that's what comes up from a lot of people who you can sense leaders don't care about their employees. They want them to be cogs in a machine to produce widgets and make them money for their own pockets. Yes. And they ask things like, how was your weekend? I don't really care. I hope the story is really quick so I can get back to my job.
That's exactly it.
How does that play out in the workplace today?
4 traits that need to be in place for leaders to be effective. And this again is based on research. Visible, approachable, connected, and consistent. Need to be visible. Good leaders, they need to be seen, just seen at work, walking around. And again, the sincerity part, the consistency of being sincere. Because again, you can see it from a mile away. How are you, Brandon? Okay, great. Let's move on here. Hey, Brandon, how are you? I stop. I actually make eye contact with you. My phone is nowhere to be seen. Just all of these different things. The approachability piece, smiling, just open body language as best as you can. And again, phone not visible. I had an interesting conversation, I don't know, maybe 4 years ago, whatever it was, with my wife's cousin. Uh, Gerald is one of the top people at the FDA. And we were having brunch one day. It was the first time I had met him. And he knew what I did for a living, except we weren't even talking about that. He just made this comment, unsolicited. He goes, Ron, do you know what I love to do at work? What, Gerald? I love to walk around. Do you really? How does that help you, Gerald? And as I sit here, Brand, I'm smiling because I still remember it so clearly. He's like, I love walking around because I get to know people. I learn about them as individuals. I learn about the work. I learn about what's going on with projects, any issues, any roadblocks. And what was so interesting to me, and I hope you believe me because it is true. He said to me, "My goal with walking around, I want people to think, oh, here comes Gerald." Not, oh my goodness, here comes the executive director of Look Busy, everybody. As I know, here comes the human being, Gerald, and I'm going to talk to him because he's going to talk with me.
Yeah, it's amazing too. And what just came up for me was that's probably the common thought of most people. And also, if someone's listening to this episode and they're maybe new to the workforce, graduating college, or in their younger 20s, they're probably thinking this is a novel concept. This is not new. I remember studying this. The concept is called management by walking around. It originated in the 70s and 80s. Like, this is not a new concept.
Right,
Where did we fall away from this?
right. I don't know. I really, really don't know how and when we fell away from this. And I think just slowly, kind of what you were saying before, though, it has become, at least from my perspective, my observation, just more of a results driven environment. Get this done, get this done. What do the numbers look like? When's the next product launch? Instead of how is everyone doing? How well are we working together? And again, just it's about the relationships because without that, where are we? Just where are we?
Yeah, it makes complete sense. And it's our personal mission here at What If. We take it very seriously. So the name of the podcast is Harmonious at Lunch. That's actually our business operating system that we've designed. It's proprietary. The H, traditionally in business, you have this department called HR, right? Human resources. First of all, how offensive is that? That humans are resources. Just going to put that out there. So we actually took that and said, what is the essence of this, right? And we call it home. Humans optimize in a meaningful environment. So we take a totally different approach on looking at the human beings involved in business, and they need to be two things. They need to be optimized human beings, so at their best at all times, if you can. And then also there needs to be a meaningful environment. And that's what's coming up for me in this conversation. It sounds like you believe uh, pretty much exactly in line with that. Obviously, not that exact language, but tell me how do we go about approaching this human optimization? Like, what is the best way you found to optimize the leaders and the team and really get everybody on the same page as human beings first?
First of all, Brandon, you said I probably don't use that language. And again, as I sit here, I do. I do. I do. I really, really do. You got my attention. I don't know if you saw my reaction at all. When I am going to be doing any sort of session, whether it's at an office, whether it's at a hotel, whether it's, whatever it might be, I walk into the training room and I just say to myself, this is my home for the next 2 days. This is home for the next 2 days. And I think, how can we make this? I think people just need to make that, the leaders need to make a conscious effort. What kind of environment do I want to create here? What do I want to create? And then set the expectations from that. I mean, I heard a quote just recently. I'm sure it's been out there a long time, and I like it a lot. And very simply, it is. If you don't develop the culture you want, you will get the culture you deserve.
Yep.
And again, I think it just goes to being human. Every single session I do, particularly when I'm working with people who do not know each other well, whether they're from different companies or different departments, whatever it might be, the first thing I do, verbatim, if the icebreaker is, okay, everybody, I'll introduce myself, fine. Stand up, and I want you to introduce yourselves to each other using the following information: your name, your job, your location, a passion you have, and a challenge you hope to address. We'll take 15 or 20 minutes to do that. And I just have them interact with each other. When it's over, I ask them, how does this opening activity help us work together? And again, without fail, we are no longer strangers. I feel like I know the people in this room now. Wow, I now, we know we have some similar challenges. I want to talk to you, a different participant, about, your trip to Europe. And it just humanizes things instantly. The atmosphere is there, and boom, and now we go to work, and it's fun. And then again, go back to what we were talking about earlier, Brandon, with the consistency, because it has to remain consistent. It has to remain fun. You don't do that in the first 20 minutes and then, all right, everybody, sit down. I'm in charge here. Like, that's obviously not going to work.
Yeah, probably not that effective. I want to make sure I heard that correctly. Did you say that you do that exercise at conferences or like within companies?
Within companies.
That
Within
okay,
companies.
that's
And I would even do it. I would do it in a conference too. I would have to, I'd have to think about it a little bit more if it's really large. Except again, the key point I try to get across to people, the more interactive we are and the more we talk to each other, the better off we're going to be. And the best way to do that is by getting to know each other a little bit before we start.
that just blows my mind though, because if you're doing it within companies, you assume these people do know each other, but obviously that's not the case if they're saying we're not strangers anymore. What can we do as leaders? Is someone listening to this podcast, what are some things we can incorporate in our companies like today so that we can start to introduce people to the strangers they work with and actually build a culture by design?
Very, very simply, from a getting to know each other perspective, is the one thing I love talking about with people. What are your passions? What's your passion? It can, and again, without putting pressure on people, because the one thing I say too is your passion can be anything. You want it to, if it's a personal passion, wonderful. Skiing, traveling, my family, whatever it might be. If work is your passion, that's perfectly okay. That's perfectly okay. I'm not going to say you have to tell us. No, because again, I want to create the atmosphere where people are comfortable and where people can be themselves. And I think one of the other things, Brandon, that going down the path, I think the more vulnerable leaders make themselves to people, the stronger the relationships become.
Yeah, no, it's true. And that's true in every sense of human relationships. The more you expose yourself from a transparency and vulnerability perspective, people can feel that and they want to be more in touch with you and they can trust you to then kind of spill their inner self as well. And that just always leads to a better and more powerful relationship. So I'm curious, as you're working with companies, you're working with leaders, um, wh- describe to me the company when you first go in. Like, what does it look like? What's the culture? And then I'm also curious to see the backside and how long that transition takes, because I think a lot of cultures and companies can relate to what you're talking about, where
Sure.
we just have those surface level work conversations. But what does a true culture by design, a human culture look like?
I got a telephone call probably about 8, 9 months ago from some leaders at a food company here in New Jersey where we live. They said to me, "We need some management development training." Okay, so we're talking for a while, and I said to them, "Yeah, I agree. You do. You do need management development training. Before we do any of that, the one thing we need to do, we need to sit down and we need to talk about and we need to develop a culture for your organization." And the reason I said that to them, and we talked about it, and then we got together and talked about it face to face more. You said to me, "What does it look like or feel like?" They were saying to me, "Ron, we've been around for about 85 years now, family run organization, and things have run amok. We have no expectations, formal expectations. People don't know to whom they report. People are doing anything they want. We don't have deadlines. Meetings, 3 o'clock meeting starts at 20 after 3, and just all of these different things." So I went in, and the three questions I always start with in this type of situation: what is the current culture in this organization? What do you want it to be? What do we need to do in order to get there? And from there, we start talking about values. We start talking about a mission statement, a culture statement of how are we going to formally treat people. And absolutely unequivocally, this needs to start at the top. Because if you don't have the buy in from the top, forget it. Just forget it. This is not one of, I'll let I'll let the vice president take care of this, and it's his or her project. No, it's not. No, it's not. The top people need to be involved, and it belongs to everyone. And when I say everyone, Brandon, I'm going all the way down to the people on the floor, because that's who we included with those questions. What do you want the culture to be? How can we get there? And it has taken time. We're still working on it 8, 9 months later. Is it making a difference? Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think, one of the other key factors here too is that leaders need to be aware, and I'll tell them this flat out. If we do this, you need to be ready to lose people. Some people are going to walk out of here, and you need to be okay with that. And that happened at this organization. They had two people who had been there 15, 18 years and said, "I'm not doing this." And I was talking to the director of operations, and I was like, "What are you going to do?" He said, "I'm letting them walk." I was like, "Good for you, because that's what needs to happen, because they're going to ruin everything if they stay."
Yeah, exactly. I love that mentality of it has to start with the top too, because I think this is what's broken. One of the things that's broken with the giant corporate structure is do as I say, not as I do. And that's just the easiest way to kill any progress or culture in an organization is I'm better than you. You have to do what I prescribe, but it's not, it's just the consultant stuff we're going to try.
Yeah.
I love that perspective, Ron. So this has been phenomenal. So I want to put this on the screen because Ron's the real deal. I can tell that. If you want to reach out to him, talk to him about leadership and management consulting for your company, I would encourage you to do that. He's on LinkedIn. We'll have that down in the show notes below, the link to his page and everything. But Ron, I always like to end these episodes with a question. And you're probably thinking like, hey, where wasn't this whole thing questions? Yes. It's a question from you, though. We believe at What If powerful questions get powerful answers. And that's what I'd love to leave the listener with is just what is that question that they should be asking themselves that they could think about for the rest of today, the rest of the week, that's going to get them that powerful answer in terms of being more human, up-leveling their culture and their company. What would you say, what would you want the listener to think about after this episode?
The one question would be, how well do you know yourself?
Mm.
And I'll follow it up with, I've been a New York Giant season ticket holder for many, many years now. We were at a tailgate a number of years ago. Peter, one of the people within our group, is the chief financial officer for a technology company in Manhattan. He came up to me, hey, Mr. Leadership Development Man, give me the one tip. What's the one tip that would make me the best leader possible? Peter, let me think about it, and I'll get back to you. I went back to him a little while later, and that's what I told him. I said, Peter, if you're going to limit me to one tip, get to know yourself extraordinarily well. Because the better you know yourself, the more human you're going to be to the other people with whom you work and interact. You need to know, what are your strengths? What are your limitations? What are your goals? What triggers you? What are you passionate about? When you know that about yourself, it makes you more open. It's just going to make it easier for everybody when you know yourself really, really well.
That's incredible. What a beautiful question, and also piece of advice there. This has been a great episode. I'm so glad you were here. I'm terribly sorry to hear that you're a Giants fan, but this has been a great episode. I'm kidding. Obviously, I'm from Jersey as well. So it was great to have you here, though, Ron. I really appreciate it.
Brandon, it's been my pleasure. Thank you.
For those of you watching, listening, wherever you are, go deeper with Ron. Go check him out on LinkedIn. See if you have a couple questions. Go start a conversation with him on LinkedIn, and make sure you subscribe to Harmonious at Lunch. We love putting these episodes on for you every single day. Help you get out of that little bubble you find yourself in your business and get to that next level. Growth in your business should be harmonious. That's the whole goal. We want to see you on tomorrow's episode.